Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Orange Juice News and Notes from around the world of Insoles. I'm your co-host Owen, and we have our other co-host Marsha back. How are you, Marsha?
Good. Yeah. It's you say back, but you're the one back, Owen. Glad to have you back this week.
Thanks. Yeah, I was
Favorite
able to
you
take a
back.
special little trip.
Yeah. So one thing we wanted to talk about today is kind of why where Owen was last week, and now he's back, is national parks. Like there's so many beautiful national parks here in the U.S. and we've got a couple blogs in Orange Insoles files on our website that talk about some like close to us at home here in Michigan. Picture Rocks is amazing in the UP Upper Peninsula. There's Grand Canyon, there's Yellowstone if you want to go national. But what we want to talk about today is if you were to go take one of these trips and get out there and have this adventure, what you should, what you might experience, what to pack, and kind of be proactive with maybe injuries that might pop up or that type of thing. So, what a great opportunity to take Owen up on what he did last week, which I think is right in this circle of what this conversation's about. So, Owen, tell us where you went last week.
Yeah, well, it feels kind of wrong given that I actually haven't been to a couple of the national parks in the state of Michigan, but we went to probably one of the most well-known national parks in the world, Banff National Park. It is in Alberta, Canada, and it is just so picturesque. So we went out there for 5 days, did a variety of sightseeing and this and that, that sort of thing. But it was something that we definitely had to prepare for. And if you just showed up in your sandals and shorts and just wanted to kind of stroll, there's no way you're gonna kind of see the best sights that Banff had to offer. So glad to be back, but wow, it was fun.
Well, I tell you, you say it's one of the best in the world. Just looking at some of the pictures, last year I went to Iceland, and the blue water that Banff has looks just like Iceland. Like it looks like one of those pockets that you've got to get out and see that type of water. It's just breathtaking, and I don't think pictures ever do it any good. But I also know I don't think physically preparing for these kind of trips, because if you don't hike every day or live in that kind of environment, you kind of don't you're just not really always ready. So I highly recommend out there if anyone's planning on taking a trip, it's worth sticking around and taking the 15 minutes to listen to this podcast, because we're going to do quite an in-depth rundown after Owen kind of tells us what he did on his trip, and then talk about what things he packed that would have complemented and helped him out on the trip. So, Owen, what did your agenda look like?
Well, I got to give you a quick fun fact that I learned. So the blue water, at least the water where we were at, and I'd imagine it'd be the exact same in Iceland. Um, what happens is it's a glacier-fed lake, so the melt off from the glacier is going to run down the mountain and into the lake, and with that, it has the sediment from the mountain in it as well. So the sediment from the mountain will trickle down into the water as well. And then when it sits on the bottom, that sediment is going to absorb all of the light except for blue. So it's that mountain sediment that comes down that forms that. So you'll really find it more in like glacier-fed lakes and that sort of thing. That truly beautiful color. So there's my little fun fact. I actually did learn something, but it's all in the sediment that comes down from the mountain. So
It is interesting, isn't it? That
Mhm.
that whole process. And I hated science classes. I did not want to pay attention. But now that I'm older in life, I actually wish I would have paid attention. Um, but that's interesting. And Iceland is a volcanic. It's all black volcanic rock, but probably the same concept with the glaciers and the that particular rock at the bottom absorbing the colors, which is interesting. So yeah,
Now,
breathtaking.
our producer Mallory just politely informed us that Lake Michigan is also a glacial lake, and I live like 10 minutes from it. So maybe I should like
And
wake
I was
up
swimming
and
in it over the weekend. Hello.
yeah, maybe I should
Okay.
just
All
like
right.
I didn't need to go to
Well,
Banff to that's okay. That's okay.
do we even want to call it out? She is the smartest one in the room. I don't know.
Well, I think it's pretty
To
obvious
our
after that.
yeah, she's
Um,
yeah. Well, that or
but
she did Chat GPT and found out, but no, she's smart. She did it.
No, I bet she knew that. Anyway, so we were obviously packing for this trip. I was thinking, okay, I need some like really comfortable footwear, which obviously I had a couple options ready to go, so that wasn't that big of a deal. But also, just you want to be comfortable when you're on these hikes, and it can be a variety of temperatures once you get up into the mountains. But ultimately, I was thinking like, okay, it's summertime. This should be a pretty simple pack, like pack shorts, pack lightweight t-shirts, quick dry items, stuff like that. And then sure enough,
So what's
two
the
days,
temperature in Michigan when you left?
uh, 90 degrees here.
Yeah.
So we're experiencing, the heat of the summer. And then sure enough, I go and I check the weather 2 days before, like right when I was going to start packing. And it says lows of 40, highs of 60 at Banff where we were traveling. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is like totally different. And what I came to learn is they're having one of like the coldest, dampest summers that they've ever had. We went on a tour, and it was mentioned that the tour guide had been living there for 20, 30 years, their whole life. They were somewhere in their 20s, I bet. And she said, to her memory, this was by far the coldest, wettest summer they have ever experienced. So at first, my wife Ashley kind of gave me a hard time, like, come on, why wouldn't you know that sort of thing, like check the weather. But then afterwards, she kind of had to give an apology after she realized, like, no, I was right. It's usually not 40, 50 degrees out there, and it's truly an anomaly. And it's interesting because even just this upcoming week now, it's going to be back into the 70s and sunny every day and that sort of thing. But anyway, I thought I was planning for this summer hiking trip, but really it was more of a I mean, if we're just using seasons, like a cool fall sort of trip, wet, damp, that sort of thing. So I had to kind of strip it down to the bottom and repack, and I'll get into more of that later. But it was definitely an adjustment, especially once you landed off the plane. You want to grab your sweatshirt out, your sweatpants, all that. They had hot tubs going, not pools. So it was very different.
So in a like a quick summary, what did you do? You were there, traveled in and out 2 of the days, and then you were there 3 full days. So
Yeah,
what
so
was your quick high level agenda that you did?
yeah, well, I could probably go on for the whole podcast just talking about this, but we stayed in the town of Canmore, which is just outside of Banff. It's a little quieter for those of you who may be interested in checking things out. So they had some awesome trails that we would walk through that kind of went through town, but then it also has like a creek and opens up into a lake, and then you have all these mountains and ducks in the pond or whatever as you walk by, and it's just like you think of a walk through town, and you'd never picture something like that. And then also they had like the shopping and all that good stuff. But most of the time we rented a car and we were driving probably 20, 30 minutes, in some cases up to an hour to get to unique sites that are, especially scenic. So we tended to gravitate as more of like beginner to intermediate level hikers, um, towards like lakes and bodies of water and things like that. So we went to it's called Emerald Lake. Went to Lake Louise. Went to Lake Minnewanka. Went to Grassy Lakes. So as you can see, like I said, a lot of lakes. But it was just that absolutely beautiful view of the crystal clear blue water. They all had like canoeing of sorts and that sort of thing that you could hop into if you wanted to actually get out on the water. So we got out on the water. We did some pretty intensive hikes. I wasn't sure I was going to admit this, but we started going on one and I literally couldn't make it. So I had to turn around. I'll give you guys a few tips on what happened, but that's okay too because it's about enjoying yourself. Yes, you want to push yourself and whatnot, but again, it's a vacation, right? So one other thing that I have to mention is we went to the summit of a mountain. It's called Sulphur Mountain, and you literally take a gondola ride up to the top. and it's half a mile up from the base. So I remember it was like 5,000 something feet in elevation from the base, and then you go up there, and all of a sudden you're at 7,750 elevation or whatever it was. So we're way up there, but it was awesome. You could overlook a full mountain range and see bodies of water and wildlife, and they had a big boardwalk at the top of the mountain. So I truly had never seen anything like it, and maybe I just haven't been to too many national parks, but I think it was a really, really unique experience.
Yeah, it sounds it's amazing when you get up there and see that view. It's just breathtaking, right? With the animals, that's interesting that you saw animals too. I didn't realize that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
they have deer, caribou, moose, sheep, like longhorn, not longhorn sheep, but some horned sheep.
Hmm.
Um, Everyone was telling us about bears, so we learned about bears. We got asked if we had our bear spray on a hike, and I was like, no, should we? So that kind of freaked me out a little bit, but it's okay.
Well,
Anyway,
you have a dog at home that is the size of a bear, so you probably would know what to do. You'd probably
uh,
draw it
but
in and love
he's
on
more
it.
of a teddy bear, though.
Yeah,
My
well, that's what
golden
I mean. You
retriever,
draw the bear
Mac.
in and love on them, and yeah, that is scary. I never thought about that, but you're right. But I think there's something about when you're on a trip like that and see natural animals in their environment. Like it's a pretty breathtaking thing to watch. We have deer in
Hmm.
Michigan all over the place, but to see those other kind of animals in that type of environment is I'm sure it was breathtaking. But
And one other thing to mention too is I guess the whole reason why we ended up going was my wife Ashley's brother went out there last summer and came back and was showing pictures to the family, including Ashley's grandma. And Ashley's grandma made some comment like, "Oh gosh, that's a bucket list item, but that's never gonna happen anymore." And it was just like so sad to hear. We're like, "What? Like, what do you mean it's not gonna happen? Like, we can go." So that's what kind of kickstarted the whole thing. So it was me, Ashley, and her grandma. And her grandma's in her 80s, and she's in great, I would say, health and shape for being that old. But she was able to have a good time as well with us. There were a few things that she sat out, but so many things that she did, including she went canoeing with us. She didn't think she'd be able to get in the canoe, but we got her in the canoe. She did half of a hike up a hill, and she turned around and didn't make it. But I think it was cool for her to at least get going up a little bit and see what it's all about and that sort of thing. So you can find something for everyone. I even saw little kids out there hiking with their parents, or if you're in good enough shape, parents literally had them like in backpacks on their back. I'm like, I couldn't do that. But it was all ages, a really diverse area too, just all sorts of fun cultures coming together. I think that kind of describes Canada pretty well too. But yeah, it was a really cool experience.
nice. So, speaking of like, so the different things that you did, I saw Grandma before the trip, and she was showing me her new Brooks shoes, and how she went up a half a size to make sure her thick socks could fit in them, and then Owen, checked them out, made sure they fit her properly, did the whole thumb test on the front of the toe, and it was she was ready to go. She thought ahead and got her. She had her nice waterproof jacket on for the rain if it happened. Like she was already thinking ahead, which was kind of fun to see her planning ahead as well. So on that, what things do you cannot live without other than you forgot bear spray? Sounds like you got to pack bear spray. But what are a couple other like I'm thinking of smart wool or some kind of wool material that will keep the smell, the wicking away, from your skin or that kind of thing. So what did you find that worked for you?
Yeah, so I mean, having worked at Playmakers, the kind of running, walking, athletic store, they're also a hiking outdoor store. Marsha mentioned Smart Wool, and that's kind of just been like their go-to wool brand over years. And I've been really brought up to date on the benefits of wool, especially in like cooler environments. Obviously, it keeps you warm, but I brought a few base layers of wool. So each time I went out, I on my skin directly was either a lighter wool or a slightly heavier wool top. And what's nice about it is as you get going, the wool is obviously going to retain your heat and keep you warmer. But then also it has dual properties where it also breathes as you become hot. It's this interesting sensation where you feel warmed, but also not like suffocated or trapped or anything like that. Like you're your body is breathing, I guess. I don't know if that's a best way to put it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds where, when you're going on these hikes and it was raining and then it was cloudy and then it was sunny and then it was cloudy and then it was raining again. It's just helping you really regulate your body temperature. And the reason being is smart wool is a merino wool. And those sheep are typically raised pretty high up in the mountains where
Oh,
we
did you
were.
see him?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. The
great.
Chiefs were up in the mountains,
Oh,
so
your little
that's a
buddy's
perfect
out there. Yeah.
example. So we all know how, animals and species and everyone kind of adapts to their environment. So what better way to adapt to the environment than take the wool the sheep have and use it for yourself? So that was definitely an essential, just to make sure I had some sort of wool base layer to keep myself warm because it's easy to overheat, it's easy to put layers on, but you can't take. What am I saying, Marsha? It's easier to take layers off than
Definitely
you
want to
can't
layer
put
up.
layers on. So you
That,
got to
yeah.
start with a good foundation. There we go.
But I thought you brought up a good point because we talk about wool a lot on our episodes, right? We talk especially around socks. Like smart wool socks is so key, doesn't absorb odor, does the same thing that you're talking about, Owen, with the skin. And it's just such a great thing to have. But one point you just brought up is it's the thickness. You can buy different thicknesses in shirts and coats for wool. So I like layering. So I do the lightweight smart wool first, and then I layer over it. But if I know it's a cold environment, I'll just start with a thick layer of smart wool shirt and then layer over it. Why, if that's what it's going to be. But no, this is so helpful because I'm getting ready to pack for a hiking trip for next week. So I literally was starting to lay out stuff, and you've got me thinking I need to check the weight of the wool of the shirt I'm packing because where I'm going, it's going to be really warm. It's not going to be cold like you were. So I definitely want to bring the lighter weight and socks, the lighter weight smart wool socks. I don't want thick winter ones. I want the lightweight ones. So yeah, we're both on the same concept of what Owen's talking about, but I think it's important you look at what the weather is to the environment you're going to because hiking, yeah, you need the same things to pack, but you also need to look at the different types of what you're packing. So,
Yeah,
um,
and wool is so versatile because one of the shirts I brought is it literally you just think it's a t-shirt, but it's actually a smart. I mean, it is just t-shirt, but it's a smart wool t-shirt, so it's made of wool. And I actually wore that on like there's one day where it was in the 60s and sunny, and we're walking and that sort of thing. So I wore that, and that was great because one, it was breathing well. Two, it pulled the moisture away from my body, so I didn't feel like all this sweat on my body. And then three, it actually dries out quickly. So you pop in for lunch or whatever, and by the end of lunch, your shirt's dry. And then four, it doesn't even smell. It's odor resistant, so you can wear it several times before you really start to get that like body odor smell you might get from one use of a cotton shirt. So yeah, important to highlight that it's a very versatile material, whether that's your summer hike or your winter hike or whatever it is. There truly are options that we recommend. I'm sure there's all sorts of other materials or things and synthetic blends that people love and are great, but this is just from our experience what we've really gravitated towards.
and the other word I like too is, and Owen will correct me if I'm saying this wrong, is Gore-Tex, right? The waterproof. So I have like a Forester jacket that I literally got in my 20s, so I won't tell you how old it is, but it's Gore-Tex. It's awesome. And then for my hiking shoes, I make sure it's Gore-Tex for the waterproof. Because to your point, I'm listening to you, and it's like it's sunny, it's cloudy, it's rainy, it's sunny in the same 5 miles or 3 hours or whatever you're out. So talk about what shoes did you take? I know for me, I have a Brooks we think of Brooks as a running shoe, but Brooks has a great hiking shoe that I have. I took to Iceland that is a waterproof shoe. Love it, hands down. But my foot is a little wider in the front, so you really got to try these hiking boots and shoes on. But what did you find helpful?
Great question. So full transparency, if I wanted to have like the best shoes for the trip, I probably would have gone shopping and got some new shoes. Just because I only have like super heavy duty, like work or like really long hiking boots that also are really hard to pack, by the way. And I did not check a bag or anything. Or I had, sandals and flip flops and that sort of thing. But what I ended up going with worked out totally fine. I know one day we did 20,000 steps. I'm sure we were probably around there most of the days we were there. So we were moving a lot on different terrain. And most of the time I did just stick with like a Brooks running shoe. It's called, the one I use is the Brooks Ghost Max. But I guess for recommendations for the audience, like just sticking with that really comfortable, like everyday shoe that you might wear to work or like walk or even run in, that type of shoe, typically you're going to get fitted for, that's going to have the proper support, the proper cushion, all of that good stuff. So even just like a pair of really good running shoes would work out well. But what I did was I paired those with the orange full length insoles. The reason being is the Brooks Ghost Max has really good cushioning and a nice wide forefoot in wide base, but it doesn't actually have arch support or built-in arch support. So as my feet were getting tired, because newsflash, usually I don't go 20,000 steps a day or really anywhere close to it, unfortunately. But it just, your feet get tired and your back gets tired, your knees might get tired, and just having that strong foundation underneath me, and then also the deep heel cup to just help lock my foot into place. It really went a long way, and I truly can say that I didn't really have any major pains or anything like that. I think the only thing that really occurred was I got some like super, super minor shin splints, like just kind of achy just a little bit in the morning or as I was kind of starting my walk. So I'll take that, especially for someone who doesn't hike a ton and do that sort of stuff, like not used to the elevation, all that. It was a very comfortable shoe. But Marsha mentioned her Brooks shoes. They are more of like a trail running shoe, so designed to run on the trail or walk on the trail. I would highly recommend something like that. Reason being is it's kind of the best of both worlds, where you're getting that lightweight but supportive running shoe fit, but also it has extra ankle support and grip on the bottom to kind of work on the different terrain. Obviously, if you're going on pretty extreme hikes, you have a heavy backpack, that sort of thing, you're going to want to upgrade to a full hiking boot, maybe with some ankle support or just a more substantial outsole. But for all intents and purposes, my Brooks Ghost Max work well, but a trail running shoe would knock it out of the park, I think.
You're right. I didn't describe that right, but that's exactly what it was. And to your point, it was light. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't big and bulky for packing. So yeah, it definitely, and I love it after the trip. It's a big investment, but even after the trip, I put them on every day when I do yard work. So if you're a true gardener, you like to do yard work and with your flowers when it's raining or in that kind of condition when you weed and stuff. So I'm always in that same environment, and I continue to wear those shoes. They're so amazing. And then to your point too about the insole support inside, what a difference when you're pushing off and you're going on this elevation on these hikes, and then you're going down the hill and you have to lean back. As you're leaning back or going forward, that deep heel cup is anchoring in your heel for alignment, and it's just amazing how that can help with just stability going up, or if you hit a rock or turn, just anchoring in that heel. There's just so many benefits to it on these kind of trips. So amazing. So I guess so. You're saying you came back injury free,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. And
One
then,
other pair. Can I tell you about my other pair of shoes, Marsha?
sure. You took
Okay,
two? I was
so
going to ask, what do you wear out at night for fancy dinners? But okay.
I was just so excited about it. I just wanted to tell you right away. So then, like, if we're just going out to dinner, like we're going shopping in town. One day it was raining, so like we didn't go and do, at least at the time, we didn't go do a crazy hike. I had a more casual pair of shoes. The brand is called Kizik, Kizik, Kizik. But really, their whole idea is they make casual shoes that are truly slip-on. So, they look like a normal shoe, but then I go and I just like cram my foot in, like really hard down on the heel. Like people at home are probably cringing if they know the pair of shoes that they cram their heel into and how it just like totally folds. But like your foot literally just pops right in, and it has this like hard reinforced heel that doesn't bother your foot, but it just like pops right back up. It's the most amazing thing for anyone who doesn't like to tie their shoes. But also they're super comfortable, and the ones I had I think are decently stylish too. So I
Wait,
wore
time out.
those.
Did you get them for the trip, or when did you? I only bring this up because someone just brought me home that same brand of shoe, and I've been wearing it this week to test it out to see if I should bring it on my trip next week because it's cream and cute, but
You
yet
should.
I slid it in and I was like, why did I just untie this shoe to put it on? I didn't realize it. I just had a box here on the counter, and as you know, we own a shoe store. So my husband brought them home for me to try. He wants me to try this brand out. And I untie and I go to put it on. I'm like, why'd I untie this thing? It just pops right on. But what I like is for me, I have a little wider foot. It's just got such a great base. And he
It
said I
does.
should bring it for the trip, so he wants me to try it this week. You always should get your shoes weeks and ahead of time before your trip. Don't put them on new on the trip. You got to wear them 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time and break them in. But when did you get these shoes? Did you get them from us?
Yeah, my dad brought him over one day, and I should have picked up another pair when I was in Playmakers. I saw the same style on sale, like super good deal. But I
Okay.
didn't. So maybe they're still
Okay.
floating out there. But that is so funny that he's kind of having you try those, and because I didn't talk to him at all about Kiziks or how they could be good for like a trip like this or anything. He probably doesn't even
Did
know I brought
you
them.
did you actually wear it on the trail, or did you just wear it more on your
Yeah,
less
not on the
intense
trail.
days? Okay,
Like
less.
if
Okay.
we're going anywhere where there might be like a trail or like dirt or whatever, like I wasn't wearing that, but I wore it through the airport, for example.
Oh,
Um, I wore it all in town, like to dinners, to that sort of stuff, and it was great because we were walking to all these places. Like we didn't drive to
yeah.
them, so we were still walking through town and getting our steps. But what's interesting is I actually paired it with the Orange Sport insoles. So this is just shows how there's different practical uses for our insoles depending on who you are, what you need. I used our sport insoles for my casual shoes and our original insoles for my sport shoes or my running shoes. But we already kind of covered how the full length insole was great for the all day support, but the Orange Sport insoles have such a thin athletic profile that they can slip into these casual shoes. But then they give you extra cushion from the O foam, which is just such an awesome material. It has definitely just a more like plush and cushion feel underneath your foot, and then also arch support as well. So obviously my feet were getting tired, especially in those types of shoes, but it was just like the perfect addition to help me really be able to wear them all day. So I added the Orange Sport insole as well.
I love it. So one thing that, as most have heard about me whine and cry about the last 9 weeks, is my knee surgery. So one thing that I'm packing is my gun. What do we call
Massage
that?
gun.
Massage gun. Because I will tell you this: if you're just going and starting these straight up hikes, going a mile and a half up or whatever, and you just haven't been practicing that, or you get a little sense of plantar fasciitis like Owen spoke about. If you can't fit the massage gun in your luggage, there's also the rolling ball, right, Owen? A couple
Hmm.
of things to think about. And you get so hyped on these trips, but you really need to take a minute to stretch before you get up and get going, and then stretch after. And I always laugh at your dad because he would sit there in the corner swinging his legs around. I'm like, what are you? That is embarrassing. Can we please start walking? What are you doing? And but honestly, it's the best thing you could do. Get your muscles going, get them worked out, and then you're not going to have any type of injuries at the end of the day. And if you do, these roller balls or the gun is definitely something that doesn't take a ton of room in your luggage. That is great to have on hand to get you through some of that, so you can continue to enjoy your trip, especially if it's 5 days long. You don't want injury on day 1 or 2. So what are your thoughts, Owen? Did you pack anything kind of crazy like that, or did you just say, you know what, I'm going for it?
You know what I did pack? Not necessarily that, but I made sure to pack like my hydration uh, supplement, if you will, hydration mix. I also take magnesium at night. I made sure to pack my magnesium because for me at least, like when I'm not sleeping at home, there it's different and it's not always comfortable. So I just want to make sure I wasn't skipping any of those steps. Like I wanted to get my good sleep. I wanted to make sure I was hydrated. I actually brought a shaker and I brought overnight oats. Just as something like that you could just throw in your shaker and like go. You just need milk and you just put it in the night before and just grab it and go. But just to have like something to get in your stomach to start the day. I mean, we got up at 4 o'clock. Like literally, breakfast places were not open on the one day. So that was really, I would say, clutch. And then the other thing to point out is just to be cognizant of the type of socks you're packing as well. So minimally, we would recommend a synthetic or wool sock because they're moisture wicking. The last thing we'd want you to do is wear your cotton socks out, have your feet get hot and sweaty or wet from the rain, and then just have that water just pool, and now you're essentially stepping in a little mini puddle inside of your boots or your shoes. So moisture wicking socks, but also making sure that the socks either are lightweight for the summertime or heavier to give you a little more warmth or even just a little more cushion underneath your foot. And then one mistake that my wife Ashley made was she actually she got some trail shoes and they were awesome, but they were like mid-cut trail shoes. And she didn't bring any longer socks. So now that starts to rub her ankle. And luckily, I talked to her about it before we even went out on the trails, and I had an extra pair of long socks the first day. But she ended up going and getting a pair of smart wool, like higher hiking socks in town, which killed us to do because we have, a connection back home. But at the same time, like, comfort's paramount. You don't go out on vacation all the time. You just want to make the most of it. So those were kind of the other things that I did, that we did. But I think the bottom line is just making sure you plan and you think about it and you don't just show up with whatever footwear and whatever clothes and just hope it goes well. It was really funny because I saw people in like jeans and a sweater and the like New Balance casual shoes that like are really cute but have like seriously no support. And I'm like, wow, like I don't know if you just got here or if I just can't tell, but there's no way you're gonna be having a good time in like a little bit here. So that's my biggest thing. Just make sure you do some prep and take some of these tips, and I'm sure it'll go a lot better than it would, or probably even quite smooth.
Yeah, I would say the last thing, just to wrap this up, that you really kind of glazed over, but I think it's so important, is like if you're on a different time zone and you're getting up and this place isn't breakfast time zone yet, how are you thinking ahead for that? Or if you're like, shoot, I'm in an area, it's lunchtime for us. It's as our lunch alarm's going off, but it's not, where's the restaurant around here? We're in the hike. So I love that. So I know for me next week, I'm packing protein bars. I love the hydration tablets. That's a big one that we're packing. I'm also packing running goo, just in case we get caught somewhere and I need that extra boost of energy. And then creatine is another one I'm packing, and then my protein powder too, just to start my morning off having the powder. I love your oats idea because I like overnight oats in water. I don't have to have milk, but you can easily just set those in water overnight, and you're ready to go in the morning, and or any part of the day when you're like, geez, I'm hungry. Where are we going to go? You could have them in your backpack because water isn't going to go bad like milk might if you had them ready to go. So great idea. And I'd love to hear more down the road. Another whole episode could be on the backpack you bring, because right now that's a big debate in our house. What backpack?
Oh yeah.
Whose backpack? What water bottle? What type of water bottle? Is this too heavy? Get a collapsible one, not a collapsible one. That's a whole other podcast, because I think we're well over our mark on where we like to keep our podcast within 20 minutes. But Owen, it's great to cover this right when you came off the whole trip. seems very fresh in your mind. So we're glad you made it back, and hopefully you can get back to the time zone.
Oh yeah, we are already back. We're up 7 a.m. this morning with the kids, getting some work done, all that good stuff. So life is good, but it was fun to get out to a national park and just kind of soak in the views and recharge. So with that said, we appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back with another episode, and take care. Talk to you soon.